Hello and welcome back everybody. It's Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. Well, in today's story, OP says, I was in a secret relationship with my husband's friend. My husband found out and I don't know what to do now. I want him back. My life is terrible without him. It's time we listen to this epic story. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
I made a huge mistake, and now I'm caught in such a bad situation. I don't know what to do anymore. I just want advice, but if you disagree, I understand it. Me and my husband have been married for around 3 months, but we've been together ever since my sophomore year of high school. We've done everything together. When he went to college, we made sure that I would go to the same school. He even turned down a better scholarship to go to a school that I had a better chance of getting into, since he was one of the smart kids and I was one of the more average kids. When he finished, he immediately started working so that he could support us, and I dropped out because he knew I hated school. He works as a software engineer right now. I just wanted to show that I do love him with everything in my being and everything he's done for me, and I wouldn't give him up for anything.
OP stays at home taking care of the typical cleaning, cooking and house maintenance. So they have a good relationship and they both put in a lot of work to make sure things stay afloat.
Before I get into this, I should say that my physical attraction to him wasn't the same as when we were in college. Ever since he started working, he started to work out less, and he doesn't come to the gym with me as often. He's not fat or anything, but it's obvious he doesn't have as much muscle, and the things he had early in college, like his six-pack, which he knows I used to love, are long gone. Maybe less working out reduced his testosterone too, because the intimacy isn't as frequent, and it's not like it used to be. Starting a couple of months ago, one of his better friends, that I will call David, started coming over to hang out. Usually, I don't like his friends in our place so frequently, but me and David instantly clicked. David and I hit it off, and my husband was so happy to see that I finally got along with his friends, but then, as usual, he ended up going back to work and spending less and less time with me, which, honestly, might have been one of the reasons I cheated.
When OP and her husband were about to get married, he promised OP that they wouldn't fall out of touch like in the movies and he wouldn't abandon her for work, but that's exactly what OP feels happened.
David started swinging by a couple hours before my husband got home to wait for him comfortably, so we started hanging out. We did everything together that I felt like my husband should have taken the time to do with me. We binged Netflix, went out to movies. Whenever people saw us, they said I looked happier, and at that point, I think I was. David started swinging by to hang out with me more than my husband, so he came earlier and earlier, and soon it was just at the beginning of the day as long as he didn't have class. One morning when he came by and we started to watch Netflix, I didn't have as much on as usual because he came at like 9, which was slightly earlier than expected, but I was already so comfortable with him it didn't matter. He was abnormally close. I ended up moving in even closer, and I kissed him. I didn't intend for it to go further than that, but he was everything that my husband wasn't anymore. He was still built, and I could tell he really wanted me more than my husband did. We ended up having relations. Throughout that day, I had the opportunity to feel ways and do things I hadn't done for a long time. I thought I would feel bad right after, but I didn't. I was only really excited that I was desired and wanted and satisfied again. Me and David continued this relationship for months, and I ended up giving him the nickname Hubby because I really felt like he was my true husband by the way he treated me. But of course, he started to get possessive like all men do, and this is where the huge problems began.
Whenever OP and David were together, David wanted OP's wedding ring off and she ended up losing it.
My husband immediately noticed because I made a point to never take it off. But that was only the first thing. David told me not to kiss my husband or really treating him like he was my husband at all. I did it, and I treated my husband really bad. He manipulated me into believing he was a bad husband for leaving me alone. I went back on birth control, and we never used protection because he didn't like it. I never objected, I just enjoyed the feeling of being with him. I put as much distance between me and my husband, and I made a point to never have intimate relations with him no matter what. I called him fat and ugly when I got angry or was upset, and it just sent my marriage into ruins. David was still around, and I guess my husband realized how close I was with David. He started making accusations, and of course, David got possessive again.
So, when OP's husband told David that he couldn't come over anymore, he sent the husband month worth of pictures, videos and messages they have made and sent each other as some kind of payback.
When my husband got home, he was really mad and he screamed. I had no idea what to do, and I realized that David didn't really care about me as much as my husband did, if he was willing to expose me like that. He started yelling about how hard he was working, as if I didn't help around the house. He was crying in the corner, and I was so scared because he randomly kept breaking down. He was asking me questions, half yelling, half crying, about how often and how long it had been going on, and I broke down and started crying too, and told him everything. He looked at the videos on his phone, getting angry again, because I told David I loved him and that he was better than my husband. Also, other things that offended him. In the videos, he saw that we were in our marital bed and that we never used protection. I could see something in him just break maybe. He was my first back in high school, and I didn't let him do any of that until we were married. He kept scratching his skin in weird ways and blaming himself like I would blame him when I got angry. I was scared he was going insane. Thankfully, the neighbors called the police due to the yelling, although they took his side a little more than mine, and they asked me if I had somewhere else to stay. So I don't know if they hospitalized him or not. Now I live with my mother, and I'm working part-time again. I regret everything.
OP hasn't been able to quite distance herself from David because she thinks he really started to take care of her after the husband tossed her aside.
David calls me wifey now, and it hurts because I really just want my husband back. We haven't gotten officially divorced, but he won't talk to me or return my messages or anything at all. If I send a third party there, he just tells them to tell me to get a lawyer because he wants to divorce me. I don't know if I'll do well in the divorce since he paid for everything, and because of David, he has a mountain of evidence on me. I really just want this all to be done and over. What can I do to get him back? And if I don't, how will I do in a divorce?
Now, here is the update.
I was able to get in touch with my husband's sister, and apparently he's not doing very well mentally. He hasn't been eating and has lost a ton of weight. She said all he does is work and sleep, and maybe eat every other day. She said I did nearly unfixable damage to his confidence because now he's afraid to go out in public and he thinks people will see him as a joke. Honestly, I don't see how his mental condition is my fault. It's his response and his choice to do what he's doing. He still wants me to sign the papers, or he will reveal the evidence that was sent to him by David. I'm going to hold off on any attempt to get him back until I can assure that he's not going to do anything serious like on the night he found out.
Well, OP, what could I say? It wasn't a mistake. You intentionally did everything to make David feel like the king and your husband the loser. If you still love him, just sign the papers so he can heal and fall in love with someone again. You were having an ongoing affair with David, constantly making excuses to justify your actions. To start, you were saying how he doesn't have a six-pack. Did you somehow forget that he is the sole provider in your relationship and he must be tired after a long day of work? The best thing ever happened in his life was David sending him the videos and pictures. So even if he has a weak day and considers taking you back, all he has to do is watch those pictures and videos again and it will snap him back to reality. You called David manipulative but still haven't completely cut him out. So how are you showing your husband that you are worth forgiving? You're not sad that you lost your husband. You're sad that you lost the lifestyle he was providing for you. Now you have to stay with your parents and actually get a job. The funny thing is, he's going to eventually find another woman who treats him right, and you will forever be online stalking him, looking at the life you could have had. Just try to be better in your next relationship. Before we go, let's listen to a few comments by the community.
Roseboy79 says, "Do anything you like, because if your husband has an ounce of self-respect, he will get rid of you with a divorce ASAP, leaving you two to continue enjoying being what you are. The pair of you treated your husband badly, and you expect to get him back? LOL. This has to be a troll posting, because this is the stuff of fairy tales. If you expect that your husband would want anything to do with you in this, or any other lifetime? OP's reply: My husband has always been very forgiving, so please don't pretend like you know him better than I do. I didn't say I expect to get him back. I say I want to get him back. Though, at this point, it's unlikely. It doesn't mean he doesn't have self-respect if he takes me back. It just means he would be a kind and forgiving person who realizes that everyone makes mistakes, unlike you. Rex Prime 3246 says, How can you say you want him back when you're still with the person you made a mess with? Put yourself in his shoes. Imagine how much you destroy everything for him. He loves you, and he did so much for you, and you're still with that man. You're honestly a bad person. How could you do so much to break the heart of the one you love? OP's reply: What am I supposed to do? I don't have anyone else, and David is actually being understanding and caring, and he's sorry for sending the pictures. I still want my husband back, but right now, David is the only one giving me the emotional support. Dreamcaster78 says, I don't know. This seems a lot like monkey branching, and she sees it as normal. The kind of person who cannot spend a day being single and think that while continuing to see her AP, she can win her husband back. I have met people who are this out of touch with reality. OP's reply: I'm only still with David because I don't have anybody else. What do you expect me to do? You sound exactly like what my husband was saying, and frankly, you don't know me well enough to have earned the right to say that like he did. David and I are close, and I'm sure he would understand if I want to go back to how things were before. I don't see how I'm bad when I've already admitted to my mistake. You don't understand me, so don't pretend like you know exactly who I am.
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.